She walked in, her face pale, trembling. "I've been seeing someone else," she whispered. I froze. My heart stopped. The woman I'd trusted, the woman I loved, betrayed me. I couldn't breathe. I had to know who. I had to know why. But when she told me, nothing could have prepared me for the truth. I never suspected anything. That's the crazy part. Our marriage, to me, was solid. We'd been together for nearly a decade, and for the most part, we had a good rhythm. Sure, like any couple, we had our issues, but nothing that felt like it could break us. At least, that's what I thought. Until the distance started creeping in, and I found myself wondering if something was wrong. But even then, I brushed it off. It all started innocently enough, like how these things often do. She'd become more invested in her work, and who could blame her? Everyone's working harder these days, right? Her career had been taking off, and I couldn't have been prouder. That was, until it began to take more of her time than I was used to. The late nights at the office, the sudden disappearances after work, and then the texts, the messages from her phone that she always seemed to be texting but never wanted me to see. At first, I told myself it was just the stress of the job. But as weeks passed, I started noticing something else. She became distant, cold. And I'm not talking about the regular frustrations married couples go through. I'm talking about something deeper, something evasive. I never thought to snoop. I trusted her. She was my wife, my best friend. But as the silence between us grew louder, I started to wonder if it was just me feeling this way. Was I imagining things? Was I the one pulling away? Then came that night. The night that would change everything. It started out as just another evening. We had dinner, a little small talk, and I was beginning to relax, thinking that maybe I was just being paranoid. But then she got a call. It was late. Too late for work. Too late for anything normal. She went to the other room to take it, and I heard her voice drop to a whisper. There was something in her tone, something guarded. And it hit me. A thought, a small, subtle thought, that gnawed at my mind. What if she was seeing someone else? That night, I laid awake staring at the ceiling. The words echoed in my mind. I tried to shake it off, tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Every little thing that had felt off started to line up in my head. The phone calls, the late nights, the distance between us. It was all there, and I was starting to see it. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. I had to be sure. I had to know for certain. That's when I decided to start watching, observing. And what I found made my stomach turn. Her phone, always close by, always just out of reach, was suddenly filled with new messages, new contacts. But one name stood out. A name I didn't recognize. The thing was, I couldn't quite put my finger on it. The gut feeling was growing stronger by the day, but I wasn't ready to face the truth. But deep down I knew. And that's when I began to question everything. But here's the thing. What was I supposed to do now? Would confronting her destroy everything? Would she even admit it if I was right? I wasn't ready. Not yet. But that night, it was clear to me. Something was wrong. And the fear that I could lose everything. That thought was too much to bear. It was just the beginning. The next few weeks were nothing short of a quiet nightmare. I kept watching, kept listening, but never said a word. There was a nagging in my chest, a pit that deepened every time I caught her sneaking another glance at her phone, every time I noticed how her behavior had shifted. She'd come home late, her smile forced, her words empty. Conversations became mechanical, like we were strangers sharing space, not the couple who once finished each other's thoughts. I started questioning my own sanity. Was I really overthinking this? Could it just be work stress? But no, the signs were too clear. Too many nights spent alone while she was out, and that guy, the name I'd seen on her phone again and again, kept lingering in the back of my mind. Who was he? What was he to her? I didn't want to ask, I wasn't ready for the answer, but at the same time, I couldn't ignore the growing suspicion. One evening, she came home late again. This time, there was a difference. Her eyes didn't meet mine when she walked through the door. She just walked past me, muttering a half-hearted hey, before heading straight for the shower. My gut twisted. Something in the way she didn't even look at me, the way she barely acknowledged my presence, told me everything I needed to know. But I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe in the love we had, the life we had built, the history that tied us together. But it was slipping away, and I was too afraid to stop it. I decided I couldn't just sit idly by anymore. I needed proof. I had to know the truth, even if it tore me apart. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I started digging. Not openly, not obviously, but little things. Her social media, carefully curated and always so innocent, suddenly seemed different. She had become more private, more guarded. Her usual posts, the ones that had always included pictures of us or our family, stopped. In their place were pictures of her with friends, at work, at events I hadn't been invited to. But there was something even more troubling. A guy, a man I didn't know, always there in the background. In some pictures, his hand was around her waist. In others, he was practically hanging off her shoulder. They looked too comfortable, too familiar. The worst part? In every single one, she was smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months. It felt like a slap in the face. I couldn't stay passive anymore. I had to know who he was. The name on her phone was Alex, but I couldn't find any more details. I didn't want to go full-blown stalker, but the curiosity ate at me. I found his Facebook profile, but when I tried to look him up, he'd blocked me. Blocked me. I couldn't breathe. Every single thing I'd suspected, every nagging doubt that had kept me awake at night, was now staring me in the face. I had been right all along, but I wasn't ready to confront it. Yet, I couldn't stop myself. My hands were shaking as I picked up my phone and dialed my best friend, Greg. He was the one person who'd always had my back, and I knew he'd give me the advice I needed. "Man, I don't know what to do," I said when he picked up. "I'm losing it. I think she's cheating on me." Greg's response was immediate, his voice heavy with concern. "Are you sure? You need to talk to her. Don't let it spiral." "I don't even know if I can trust what I've seen," I said, my voice tight. "But something's off. It's all adding up, and I'm terrified to confront her. What if I'm wrong? What if I destroy everything?" Greg was quiet for a moment. "You've got to face it, man. You deserve to know. You can't keep living like this." I knew he was right. The secrecy, the lies, the distance, it was all there, waiting for me to confront it. But I was still paralyzed. What if it wasn't as bad as I thought? What if I was reading too much into everything? That night, when she came home late again, I decided to take action. I couldn't keep sitting in the dark, waiting for her to come to me. I watched her as she walked in, as she slipped into the bathroom without a word. My heart pounded in my chest. I knew this was it, the moment of truth. When she came out, I didn't even give her a chance to settle. "Who's Alex?" I asked, my voice steady but tight with anger. She froze. For a moment, I saw her eyes flicker with panic, but she quickly recovered, flashing me a weak smile. "What are you talking about? Don't play dumb," I snapped. "I know you've been texting him. I know you've been seeing him. Just tell me, please." She took a step back, her face softening. "It's not what you think," she said, her voice trembling. "It's not what you think." But I couldn't take it anymore. The silence was too deafening, the lies too thick. "Then what is it? What is it, really?" She hesitated, as if trying to find the words to fix what was already broken. But I wasn't buying it anymore. She didn't answer immediately, and in that silence, something inside me cracked. I'd been holding it all together for so long, convincing myself that it wasn't as bad as it seemed, that maybe I was just being paranoid. But now, standing in front of me, she couldn't even look me in the eye. Her lips parted, but no words came out. I was done waiting. My fists clenched at my sides, but I forced myself to stay calm, to remain controlled. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me lose it. But inside, I was falling apart. My heart pounded in my chest, my head was spinning, and I couldn't tell if I was more angry or heartbroken. "Who is he?" I asked again, the words coming out sharper this time. She finally met my gaze, and for a brief moment, I saw something I hadn't expected: guilt. It flashed across her face like a lightning bolt, only to quickly be masked by a calm facade. "Look, I didn't mean for it to happen," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's complicated. Complicated." She was using that word. The word people always use when they want to make things sound less damaging than they really are. I swallowed hard, trying to process what she was saying. But nothing was adding up. I needed answers. I needed the truth, no matter how much it hurt. "So you're telling me," I said, the disbelief clear in my voice, "that you've been seeing someone else, and it's just complicated?" Her eyes flitted to the floor, and for a moment, I thought she might break down. I was almost hoping she would, just so I could see some kind of remorse. But then she looked up at me, and I saw that same guarded expression, the one I'd been seeing for weeks now. "His name is Alex," she finally said, almost in a whisper. "He works with me." It didn't mean anything at first. We were just talking, you know? But then it turned into more. I never planned for it to go this far. I never meant for you to find out. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut, but I couldn't stop myself from asking, how long has it been going on? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she just stood there, looking as though she was trying to find the right words. And in that moment, I realized just how deep the betrayal ran. She wasn't just sorry because she'd hurt me. She was sorry because she got caught. Since March, she finally admitted, her voice trembling. It started with just texting, but then it became more. He's been there for me when you weren't, when things were hard. I felt my blood run cold. March. That was right around the time things had started to shift between us. Right when I was recovering from my knee surgery and trying to adjust to the new normal. That was when she'd started pulling away, becoming distant. That was when she'd started spending all that extra time at work, pretending it was all just about the job. But it wasn't about the job, was it? I had always prided myself on being the kind of husband who could forgive anything, who could fix things when they went wrong. But this was different. She hadn't just broken my trust, she had destroyed it, ripped it apart in a way that couldn't be easily repaired. And you thought I wouldn't find out? I asked, my voice rough, my heart breaking with every word. I didn't want you to find out, she whispered, almost pleading. I never wanted to hurt you. It was just easier, okay? I was so lonely. I needed someone. You were what? Lonely? I interrupted, my voice rising, though I could feel the tears threatening to fall. Lonely? You couldn't come to me? You couldn't talk to me? Instead, you go and have an affair with someone at work, and now you want me to understand? Want me to forgive you? She opened her mouth to speak, but I held up my hand to stop her. No, I said, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. You don't get to make excuses for this. You don't get to justify what you did. You've betrayed me. You've betrayed us. Her eyes welled up with tears, but she didn't cry. She just stood there, helpless, her hands trembling at her sides as if she wanted to reach out, but didn't know how. I never wanted to hurt you, she whispered again. I was just lost. I didn't know how to handle everything. I was scared. Scared of what? I asked, my voice shaking now. Scared of what exactly? That I wouldn't be there for you? That I wouldn't love you? She shook her head. No, that's not it. It's just things changed, and I couldn't fix it on my own. Alex, he was just there. And in that moment, I saw it. The truth behind everything. She hadn't been searching for an affair. She'd been searching for something she thought I couldn't give her anymore. Something that wasn't about love, but about validation. She didn't want to feel alone, so she found someone who could make her feel like she mattered. But in the process, she had shattered the one thing I valued above all else. I stood there, silent for what felt like an eternity. My mind was racing, my emotions a storm I couldn't control. I didn't know what to say, or how to react, or if there even was a way back from this. She stepped closer, her voice trembling. Please, don't leave me. I love you. I don't want to lose you. I didn't say anything at first. I couldn't. The words were stuck in my throat. And for the first time in years, I didn't know what to do. The silence between us stretched out, heavy and suffocating. She stood there, her face filled with a mix of pleading and regret, but all I could feel was the weight of the betrayal crushing me. It was as if every ounce of love I had for her was being drained from me, leaving behind a hollow shell of anger and disbelief. I should have been angry. I should have lashed out, shouted, demanded answers. But I didn't. I was numb, completely numb. I just stood there, feeling like I was drowning in my own thoughts, trying to make sense of it all. Was this really happening? Was she really standing here, admitting to me that she had cheated on me for months? And for what? Some guy at work? She took a step closer, her voice soft, almost fragile. Please, I know I've hurt you, but I need you to understand that this was a mistake. It was a horrible mistake, and I will do anything to fix it. I love you. Please, don't walk away from me. Her words stung more than I could have ever imagined. The part of me that had always wanted to believe in the best of her, in the best of us, was slipping away. How could she stand there, looking so broken, and still ask me to forgive her? She was asking me to forgive her for something that felt unforgivable. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself, trying to control the storm inside me. But the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her everything that had been building up inside me. How I had trusted her, how I had loved her, how I had stood by her through everything. And now, here I was, standing on the edge of losing everything. all because she'd gone and given herself to someone else. I turned away, pacing the living room, trying to find a way to process this, to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do. My mind was a mess. Part of me wanted to scream at her, tell her how much she had hurt me, how betrayed I felt. But the other part of me, the part that still loved her, wanted to understand, wanted to know why. Why Alex? I asked quietly, the words slipping out before I could stop them. Why him? Why not come to me? Why not talk to me? I would have listened. I would have tried to fix things. She shook her head, her hands trembling. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I didn't plan for it to happen. It just did. I was lonely, and he was there. He was kind to me when I felt like you didn't see me anymore. It was like he noticed me. The pain of hearing those words, the realization that she had been searching for someone else's attention, someone else's approval, cut deeper than any betrayal I could have imagined. I had always thought that we were enough for each other. But somewhere along the way, she had drifted, and I hadn't even noticed until it was too late. Is that what this is about? You just needed someone to notice you? I asked, my voice shaking with the hurt that was starting to seep through. You couldn't talk to me? You couldn't come to me, like you always said you would? She collapsed onto the couch, her face buried in her hands. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. But I wasn't happy. I wasn't getting what I needed. And Alex, he made me feel seen again. The air between us felt charged with tension. My chest tightened with the weight of everything we had just uncovered. I wanted to run. I wanted to walk away from her, to leave this broken relationship behind and never look back. But there was this part of me, the part that had loved her so deeply for so many years, that couldn't let go just yet. I sat down across from her, staring at her as she cried, feeling my own heart shattering with every tear that fell from her eyes. She looked so lost, so broken. And yet, she had broken me, too. I don't know if I can forgive you, I said quietly, the words cutting me more than they probably cut her. I don't know if I can look at you the same way after this. She reached for me, her voice desperate. Please don't say that. I don't want to lose you. You're everything to me. I've made a terrible mistake, and I swear I'll never do it again. I want us to work. I want us to be happy again. Please don't leave me. I pulled away from her touch, not because I didn't want her to reach for me, but because I was too afraid of what it meant. How could I trust her again? How could I go back to the way things were when everything felt so shattered? I don't know, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I don't know if I can just forgive you. I don't know if I can ever trust you the same way. She fell silent, her head bowed as she stared at her hands. It felt like we were standing on a precipice, with everything hanging in the balance. I didn't want to walk away, but I also didn't want to stay and pretend that everything was going to be okay when it wasn't. I was torn between the life I had built, the love we had shared, and the pain of knowing that everything had been a lie. I stood up, pacing again, feeling my mind swirl with indecision. The one thing I knew for sure was that I couldn't make a decision tonight. I needed space. I needed time to think. I need to figure this out, I said, my voice low. I need some time to think about what I'm going to do. I can't make this decision right now. Her face crumpled, but she didn't argue. I understand. I'll give you all the time you need. Just, please don't give up on us. I didn't say anything. I couldn't, because I didn't know if I could ever stop feeling like this was the beginning of the end. The days after that confrontation felt like a blur. I had told myself I needed time to think, but in reality, there was no escaping the endless loop of thoughts swirling in my mind. Every moment felt like a weight on my chest, every second dragging on as I tried to figure out what to do. Could I forgive her? Could I even live with myself if I did? Or was this the point of no return, where everything we built together crumbled into dust? I tried to go about my daily routine, but it was impossible. Every conversation, every interaction, seemed meaningless. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. The trust one had built over years was gone, shattered like glass. And though I told myself that time would help me figure things out, I couldn't stop wondering if the damage was too deep, too permanent. I spent hours staring at the walls of our home, contemplating our past. We'd built a life together, one filled with memories, laughter, and dreams for the future. I couldn't simply throw that all away, could I? But then, there was the reality of what she had done, the betrayal, the lies, the affair. And no matter how much I tried to rationalize it, no matter how much I wanted to look past it, it hurt. It really hurt. Then, one afternoon, I ran into a friend I hadn't seen in months. He didn't know anything about what was going on with me, and I wasn't sure I was ready to talk about it. But there was something about his presence that felt comforting, like a piece of normalcy I desperately needed. As we chatted, the conversation shifted to relationships, and for a brief moment, it felt like I could breathe again. "You know," he said casually, "sometimes you gotta just look at the bigger picture. People mess up, man. They make mistakes. What really matters is whether or not you can both rebuild from it." His words hit me harder than I expected. He wasn't saying anything groundbreaking, but the simplicity of it settled deep inside me. He was right. Could we rebuild from this? Or was it just too much? Later that evening, I came home to find her sitting in the living room, looking exactly how she had the night I confronted her, vulnerable, broken, lost. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with uncertainty. "I've been thinking," she said quietly, "about what you said. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want to try. I want to fix this. I want to prove to you that I can be the woman you need." I nodded, though I didn't feel any sense of relief. I wanted to believe her, but the words didn't match the actions. How could they? The truth was still raw. The images of her with him still haunted my mind. I didn't respond immediately, instead sitting down next to her, feeling the weight of our shared silence. I knew what she wanted to hear. She wanted to hear that I'd forgive her, that we'd get past this. But the words wouldn't come. "Not yet. I don't know if I can do it," I said softly, the words heavy as they left my lips. "I don't know if I can just pretend like nothing happened. I'm just not sure." Her face fell, and she reached for my hand, squeezing it gently. "I understand, but I'll do whatever it takes. I'll give you all the time you need, all the space, whatever it takes for you to trust me again." The sadness in her voice struck me, but it didn't change the fact that the wound was still fresh, still bleeding. Every time I looked at her, all I could see was the image of her with him. How could I look at her the same way? How could I love her the same way? Yet, there was a part of me, the part that still loved her, that still cared deeply about the life we'd shared, that couldn't walk away. As much as the pain gnawed at me, I didn't want to lose her. I didn't want to lose us. But was that enough? Was love enough to rebuild trust? Could we really heal from this? I stood up, pulling my hand away from hers gently. "I need more time," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I can't make this decision tonight. I can't decide just like that." Her eyes filled with tears, but she nodded, understanding the weight of my words. "I'll wait for you," she whispered. "Whatever you decide, I'll wait." And with that, I left the room. I needed space. I needed to think. I needed to process everything. It felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, and no matter which direction I stepped in, there was no going back. The days that followed were filled with more soul-searching, more late nights of contemplating our future. I tried to focus on work, to distract myself, but every corner of my mind returned to the question that wouldn't leave me. Could I forgive her? Could I ever trust her again? But as the week wore on, something inside me began to shift. I realized that forgiveness wasn't just about her. It was about me, too. It was about my ability to move forward, to let go of the anger, to stop punishing her and myself for what had happened. Forgiveness wasn't about erasing the past. It was about finding peace, even if it meant facing the truth. I came to a decision. I walked into the living room that evening, where she was waiting for me, sitting quietly, her face tense with anticipation. She stood up when she saw me, but I held up my hand, signaling her to wait. "I've thought about it," I said, the words harder than I expected. "And I think I can try. I can try to forgive you." Her face lit up, but I raised my hand again, stopping her. "But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It's going to take time, and we're going to have to work for it. I can't just forget what happened. But if you're willing to do the work too, maybe we can start over." Her eyes were filled with tears, but this time, they weren't just tears of regret. They were tears of hope. She nodded, her voice trembling as she whispered, "I'll do whatever it takes." And in that moment, I realized that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild. We could learn to trust again, even if it took time. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was a road I was willing to walk, together. The decision had been made, but now the real challenge began. Forgiveness, I learned quickly, isn't a one-time thing. It's a daily choice. Each morning, I woke up next to her, and each morning, I had to remind myself that I was willing to try. Some days, it felt like I was moving forward. Other days, it felt like I was taking 2 steps back. We started with the basics: communication, trust, transparency. But let's be honest, it wasn't easy. Every time she left the house for work, my mind would race, my thoughts spiraling. I'd find myself imagining her with Alex again, even though I knew I had no proof that they were still in contact. I'd ask her about her day, and she'd answer, her voice soft and gentle, but I couldn't shake the unease that lingered. I couldn't help but wonder, what if she was lying again? What if I was just setting myself up for another betrayal? But she tried. I had to give her that. She showed up every day, asking for forgiveness, showing me she was committed to rebuilding the trust we'd lost. She let me see her phone whenever I wanted. She opened up in ways I hadn't expected, and she didn't get defensive when I asked questions. She just answered them, even when they were hard. It wasn't just about the affair anymore. It was about us. Who were we now? What did we mean to each other after everything had crumbled? I found myself remembering the reasons I had fallen in love with her in the first place. Her laugh, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about things she was passionate about, the little things she did every day that made our life together so ours. But even with those memories, there was a wall between us now. A wall that had been built by lies, betrayal, and hurt. And every time I felt myself slipping, every time I felt the anger and pain rise up, I would take a step back and remind myself, we are trying. We are working on this. There were good days, where the laughter came easier, where we'd sit together and talk about the future, about the things we'd still want to do together. There were moments when I thought maybe, just maybe, we could find a way back to the love we once had. But there were bad days too. Days when the weight of the past pressed down on me so hard that I couldn't breathe. Days when I couldn't look at her without remembering everything she'd done. We went to therapy. It wasn't easy. Sitting across from a stranger, exposing the raw, ugly parts of our relationship, it felt invasive, uncomfortable, like a necessary evil. But it helped. At least, that's what I told myself. I needed to hear that we could make it, that this wasn't the end, that this could just be the beginning of a new chapter. But as we worked through our issues, one painful conversation at a time, the reality started to sink in. I wasn't the same person I was before I found out. I couldn't be. How could I look at her the same way? How could I erase what had happened from my mind? There were nights when I lay awake, my heart heavy, my mind replaying every painful detail. And then there were moments when I caught myself laughing with her again, like we hadn't missed a beat. I still loved her. That much hadn't changed. But love, I was beginning to realize, isn't always enough. Sometimes, it takes more than love to rebuild what's been broken. It takes patience, trust, vulnerability. And most of all, it takes time. I had to make a choice every day. To stay, to forgive, to keep working through it all. And sometimes, I wasn't sure I could do it. But then I'd see her trying, really trying, and I'd remember why I had made the choice in the first place. But I also had to ask myself, was I still the same person I was before? Could I really forgive her and move on? Or was I forever changed by the knowledge of what she had done? One night, as we sat together in silence, she reached for my hand, her fingers trembling slightly as she held on to it. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for everything. I know I can't change what happened, but I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you." I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know if there was anything to say. But as I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in a while, I saw something I hadn't seen in months. Sincerity. It was like she had let go of the pretense, the excuses. She wasn't asking for my forgiveness anymore. She was showing me she was ready to earn it, one day at a time. I squeezed her hand. "I don't know if I can ever fully forgive you," I said softly. "But I'm willing to try. I'm willing to see where this goes." And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel the crushing weight of the past. For the first time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for us. It's strange how much a person can change in the span of just a few months. I used to think the future was a simple thing, something you built day by day, brick by brick, with each decision leading you closer to the life you imagined. But now, I saw it differently. The future wasn't something guaranteed. It wasn't a smooth path that led to happiness. It was a choice. Every single day, she was trying. I could see it. And that, more than anything, was what kept me here. What made me wonder if maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back to each other. But there were still days when it felt impossible. Days when the weight of the betrayal felt too heavy to carry. when the memories of her with someone else overwhelmed me. I would catch myself wondering, can I ever truly forget that? We continued with therapy. We talked, we cried, we laughed at the stupid little things. We made plans, slowly, carefully, for a future that no longer felt certain but still felt possible. And I learned to open up, to be vulnerable again. I learned to trust, little by little, though it was hard. The thing about trust is that it doesn't come easily once it's been broken, and even when you think you've built it back up, it can slip away with just a glance, a word, a moment of doubt. But we fought for it. The hardest part wasn't the affair. The hardest part was rebuilding the confidence I once had in her. I realized that forgiveness wasn't about erasing the past. It was about accepting it, accepting that what happened was real and painful, but not letting it define everything that came after. Some nights were harder than others. There were moments when I wanted to scream, to ask her why she hadn't come to me when things started to fall apart. But there were also nights when I'd look at her, really look at her, and I could see the woman I married. I could see the woman I still loved, even with the cracks that ran through her. One evening, we sat on the couch, both of us wrapped in blankets, watching a movie. We hadn't done this in a long time. Just us. No awkwardness, no tension. Just us, together. And as the movie played, I found myself feeling something I hadn't felt in a while. Peace. I don't know if we'll ever go back to the way things were, she said quietly, her voice soft, as she rested her head on my shoulder. But I'm okay with that. I just want to keep moving forward with you. I just want us to be okay. I didn't know what to say to that. I wasn't sure if I could ever be completely okay with it. The past would always be there, a part of our story. But maybe, just maybe, we could write a new chapter. One that was different from before, one that was scarred but also stronger. One that was about forgiveness, healing, and learning how to trust again. I'm willing to try, I said softly, my heart aching in a way I hadn't expected. I'm willing to see where this goes. But I need you to know, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of work. I know, she said, nodding against my shoulder. I'll work for it. I'll work for us. We didn't have all the answers, and we didn't have any promises. The truth was, I couldn't guarantee that we'd make it. But what I could guarantee was that I was willing to try. Willing to give us a chance. Willing to fight for something that still mattered to me. The next few months weren't perfect. There were still moments of doubt. Still times when the past crept in and made me question everything. But there were more good days than bad, more laughter than tears. And the more I allowed myself to let go of the past, the more I found myself starting to trust her again, little by little. We took a trip together one weekend, a quiet getaway to the coast. It was the first time in a long time we had the space to just be together, without the weight of our problems looming over us. We walked along the beach, our hands brushing together as the waves crashed at our feet. And for the first time in months, I felt something I hadn't felt in a while: hope. We had a long road ahead of us, no doubt. But it didn't matter. What mattered was that we were walking it together. And for the first time in a long time, I believed in us again.